Welcome into Bears Now. I am Harrison Graham, and, well, it's officially an outbreak at Halas Hall in Chicago. Tons of players and some coaches on the COVID reserve list, as it's safe to say it's a COVID outbreak within the Chicago Bears organization. All three of the Bears coordinators, Bill Lazor, Desai, Chris Tabor, are in the COVID protocols. Nagy did not rule out any of the three to be able to coach on Monday night, but that seems unlikely. And now 12 players are now in the protocols as well. It was 6 as of today, but as of this afternoon, that number doubled. 12 players in the COVID-19 protocols for the Chicago Bears. Ari Mayer of My Sports Update had this note saying the Bears have placed Allen Robinson, Jesse James, Eddie Jackson, Joel Iggy, as we like to call him, Ryan Nall, and Isaiah Coulter into the protocol. So now 12 players on the COVID-19 list. And on a 53-man roster, that is quite a bit, folks. This is not ideal, to say the least. Now, a lot of you guys are probably saying, this team is 4-9, who cares? Well, you still got to get through the season, and you want to have as many good pieces available around Justin Fields, right? Like, you want to give him the best chance to get some quality reps for the final month, don't we? Yeah, this is not a good situation, to say the least. As we sit in Chicago, and with a couple days before game day still, 3-4 days, possible more players get added onto this list. Now, the underlying story of all this is Matt Nagy might be calling plays on Monday night. In fact, if Bill Lazor's not available, I'd be surprised if he wasn't. So, if Matt Nagy calls plays, how many points will the Bears score against the Vikings? Maybe it's 0. Kidding. They'll score some points, but we'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. If Matt Nagy calls plays, how many points do you believe the Bears will score on Monday night? All right, let's talk about the players and COVID protocols, especially the new additions here. Allen Robinson, Jesse James, Eddie Jackson, obviously A-Rob and Jackson, albeit neither have had great years. 2 key starters, of course, unlikely to be available. Joel Iggy, Ryan Nall, Isaiah Coulter, some of the recent additions to the COVID-19 protocols as well. But there were already 6 players in there. Larry Borom, who's played right tackle mostly as of late. Elijah Wilkinson, Eddie Goldman as well, which, by the way, Eddie Goldman opted out last year for COVID and then is unvaccinated, so he's not going to be able to return no matter what. So that's certainly an interesting storyline. And then Sam Kamara, Mario Edwards, and Artie Burns in the COVID protocols as well. A lot of players, a lot of like depth backup guys, but some key guys as well. At least 5 or 6 starters in that chunk in the COVID protocols as we push on forward here. Now, Matt Nagy did make a good point and offered some perspective, because obviously this is frustrating, right? I mean, look, all of us as human beings, like, we all want this to be over, but the reality is it's not over. So we just all have to deal with it, right? And that's what Matt Nagy said, because they were asked about him if he's frustrated at this point. This is the second year of trying to deal with all of this. He says, look, every team's dealing with it. You're seeing spikes across the league. The teams that adjust and deal with it the best are going to be the teams that emerge and win some games here down the stretch. So hopefully the Bears can rally the troops. He did mention it's an opportunity potentially for a guy or two that wasn't going to get to play. Maybe now they get to play and get to show what they got. I'd love to see guys like Daz Newsome and Thomas Graham get elevated from the practice squad for this game and see what they can do. But we'll have to see what shakes out. But it's definitely an outbreak right now, and it's kind of an NFL-wide outbreak. The numbers have spiked across the league, and a lot of you Bears fans who are Bulls fans as well, we're seeing this in the NBA as well. The Bulls have, I think, 10 players in the protocol at one point. Not a good situation whatsoever. All right, subscribe to the channel as news continues to drop. We will keep you guys updated. Also, if the Bears can fire Matt Nagy, if they do fire their head coach, which we'll talk about his hot seat status in a second, you bet your ass we're going live. So hit that big red button and subscribe, youtube.com/Bears. Now, you can also check out my updated list of Matt Nagy replacements. See ya, Matt, hopefully at least. Kind of did my dream list candidates. That went out yesterday. Subscribe, go to the video tab. You'll be able to see this thumbnail. Click on that video and go check that out. All right. Is Matt Nagy the next head coach in the NFL to be fired? Because the Jacksonville Jaguars late on Wednesday night fired Urban Meyer, which, thank God, right? That was an absolute disaster down in Jacksonville. Now, the latest betting odds coming out of Vegas have Matt Nagy as the clear favorite to be the next head coach fired. And now I start to wonder, with the NFL implementing that new rule, at least for this year, where you can request interviews from other coaches on other team staffs in week 17 and 18, are the McCaskies going to be more motivated to fire Matt Nagy before the season ends? You look at the betting odds here. Matt Nagy is the next head coach to be fired, minus 250. That's a big jump from that to plus 200 for Joe Judge, Matt Rule, Mike Zimmer, Vic Fangio, well behind those guys as well, all coaches that could be on the hot seat. I was a little surprised by Rule as the third most likely, but things have not gone great in Carolina. But either way, Matt Nagy, a clear favorite to be the next head coach who gets fired in the NFL. And obviously, he needs to go. I mean, I think we're all in agreement of that. But as you guys know, George McCaskey, they've never fired a coach mid-season, but we'll see if that new rule shakes things up. More on this in a second. But hey, if you want to go bet on those latest odds on who the next coach fired will be, BetUS is the place to do it. Go to chatsports.com/Bears. Use our promo code BEARDOWN. That's all one word, bear down, when you go to chatsports.com/Bears. And our jersey giveaway deal, it is still underway, so go ahead and follow these steps. Screenshot this graphic, follow the steps in order, and you will be in good shape. Chatsports.com/Bears, promo code BEARDOWN. Got to sign up and deposit a minimum of $100. Again, this is for new BetUS customers only. You'll get that deposit bonus. So then place a bet on any game or a prop bet like I just mentioned. If you want to bet on Nagy to get fired, you can do that as well. Once you do that, email us, jersey@chatsports.com. We have brand new Justin Fields Nike Authentic Navy jerseys. Just the Navy right now, but it's a clean look, isn't it? Email us, jersey@chatsports.com. We'll hook you guys up. We'll confirm your account information, and then we will hook you guys up with a brand new jersey. So follow those steps with us here at Chat Sports, and then get a jersey this holiday season. What I want to know, and I kind of alluded to it, I can kind of respect the McCaskies for, hey, we're not going to fire a coach midseason. We don't think that accomplishes anything. I think they feel like it's almost morbid to do that. But with the new rule where you can start interviewing coaches in week 17 and 18, I'm sorry, you got to take advantage of that, man. Will they realize that and say, Matt, we've decided you're not going to return, and it's not fair to even keep you around just to finish the season anyway. We're going to let you go so we can start our hiring process. It would be even more shady to not fire him midseason and then try to interview coaches behind his back, right? So if they've made that decision, hey, you're gone, then go ahead and let him go. Like, obviously, you're not going to fire him before this game, especially now with the COVID outbreak, but whether it's after this game or after the next game in Week 16, he should not be the coach of this team after Week 16. You got to start your vetting process and potentially interview some candidates, because now with the Jags job open and Vegas already been open for a couple months, you don't want to be behind the 8 ball, because I think if you wait too long, you could miss out on some potential targets to be your next head coach. Now, will the Bears listen to me and fire Matt Nagy before the season is over? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I don't know. I think it's probably more likely that the answer is no, which is unfortunate based on the Bears' history, but I do think they should really reconsider their thinking on that. Let me know what you guys predict, not what you want them to do, what you think they will do down in the comments. All right, real quick before we sign off, Ted Phillips, we talked about the other day, could he be on the hot seat? Well, a role change could be possible for him, as he has been the team president for a while, CEO as well. But he has always had some involvement in football operations, because he's the one who hired Ryan Pace and all the other GMs before him, as he's been the team president since 1999. Now, there's apparently been conversations between himself and the organization that he could, quote, distance himself from football operations. Dan Wiederer reporting this one. We'll see what shakes out. I think it's pretty clear Ted Phillips should not have any involvement in football decisions. He's a glorified accountant. He's a numbers guy. He's a business guy. He does not know football. I think that's very clear. Now, I've been on the side of he's probably doesn't have as much involvement and reason to blame as you guys think, but there's definitely plenty of blame to go around, especially for a guy who's been involved in the organization for over 30 years at this point. As far as I'm concerned, go lead the charge on the stadium situation and stay the hell away from football operations, Ted Phillips. Go figure out if this team's going to stay in Chicago, if they're going to go to Arlington Heights and build a new state-of-the-art stadium. Be in charge of that, but let's put someone else in charge of hiring a GM and a head coach. That is what I would say on that front. But I think it's interesting that a report is surfacing that there have been conversations within the franchise that his role could be changing as soon as this offseason. So what do you think? Should the Bears keep or fire Ted Phillips? Type F for fire, type K for keep. We'll see what shakes out. It's bound to be an epic offseason at Halas Hall. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of it here on Chicago Bears Now.